to sort of demonstrate the crouching system, how to utilize the input action system. That is basically what's new. Well, it's not new, but is the now way to set up action mapping, because going into your profile settings and in mapping that way is depreciated now. So it's not overly complicated. If you're using a blueprint, I'm just going to copy this, make a copy of this, copy. If you're using a template, it's all set up for you. If you're not, you're starting from scratch. You'll have to create what they refer to as an IMC, which is an input mapping context. And then you have to plug that into your character blueprint to be able to tell it what actions it can take. I'm just waiting for Unreal to fire up. There we go. It's now doing what it needs to do. Alrighty, here's where we left off. We had our coins that we made gold. Thanks, Jeanette. And we have our walking system still in place. Now, for the walking system, we didn't have to muck around with any sort of animations. In this particular tutorial, we have animations, and I'll be uploading a file to a general section somewhere that I'm going to have the animations that I've converted from Mixamo for you. Essentially, what happens when you get the animations from Mixamo, it's got the wrong skeleton inside of it, and it gives you an error when trying to import into Unreal. I found a really clever way of converting it, and I've done it for you to save you the trouble. So, first of all, what are we going to do? We're going to set up our action or input action. So we're going to come into our control, our content drawer. I'm just going to, why did that do that for? Anyway, sorry. And in here, we're going to check out our content third person. So I'm using the third person template input. And here you can see the IMC default. Okay, we're not going to do anything just there just yet. We're going to go into actions. We're going to create a new input action. We're going to call it IA_crouch. Now, that's it. You don't have to do anything with that. I do like to go into it, make sure that it doesn't have any funky settings and enabled. It shouldn't do. It should just have the default settings. So make sure you save it just for good measure. Now, we're going to take a step back to our input. We're going to go into the IMC default. Now, this will look like what the input screen looked like back in the day with when you go into settings and profiles. And we're just going to go mappings. And we can see that we've already got the three that you saw before, which is jump, move, and look. We're going to add a new one. We're going to select our crouch IA that we've just created. Expand him out, and we're going to look for left control. And that's it. Save that off. That's that part done. So that's essentially all you have to do for input actions now, guys, is do it that way. If you do make a custom IMC, you do have to plug that into your player blueprint. Which I do believe is this guy here. Yeah. Add mapping context, and the D is set to default IMC default. You can have multiple different mapping contexts. You can just drag off from that and create another one, then put into yours if you really wanted to. That way you can have two set of settings set up there. So we're going to go down here. And you can see this is where our cast coin is and that toggle run walk. I should comment that. Displays, sends, snens, sends, sorry, adds one to coin variable for casting to HUD. Alrighty, so I should probably update that later on. I'm not going to do that right now. What we're doing here is we are doing our crouching stuff. So what we're going to do, we're going to search for IA crouch. Now this looks a little bit different to this one because it's got pressed and release. This, when you use your drop down option here, you got triggered, start, ongoing, cancel, completed, whole bunch of other stuff. That they all have their own users. However, just for this, we're going to go with started and completed. So that means when you press the button and then when you let go of the button. So from started, we're going to come out, we're going to go crouched. And from completed, we're going to go uncrouched. And that's essentially as much as you do with this little section. Compile. We're not going to save it just yet because we need to go into our character motion and enable crouching. So come up here into your components tab, click on character movement. Under details, you can search for crouch. And all you need to do here is make sure that you can crouch is ticked. You can change your crouch height here and your max walk speed when crouched. That's entirely up to you if you wish to do that. So now that that's done, that's the control part of it. Now, if we go into the game, nothing happens because I haven't set up any of the crouch animations. You see the camera move because the camera is sort of bound to your collision capsule. And if you had made your capsule visible, you'd be able to see the capsule bouncing up and down. However, just neither here nor there. It's up to you if you want to do that. Now, if this movement is a little jarring and quick for you, you can modify that if you go into your camera boom here and search for lag, and you can enable camera lag on. I'll save, press play, and you can see it's a smoother motion now. So that's a lot nicer. You don't have to do that. It's entirely your preference if you choose to or not. All right, so next we're going to set up the animation. We need to import the animation that we got compressed in our crouch anim.zip file that I'll upload. So you can click and drag and add them how you see fit. So you can add through the content drawer here. You can add an import this way, or you can click and drag in. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to create a new folder. I'm going to call it animation. And in there, I'm also going to create a new folder because eventually I might want more folders, different types of animation. I'm just going to call it crouch. So in your crouch anim folder, you have about 5 different crouching animations. So I'm just going to click and drag them in. I'm going to change the skeleton here to our SK mannequin. Now, if you're using a different character, you'd use the skeleton that's associated with a character. For now, I'm just using the mannequins. And you can see that we now have all 5 animations inside Unreal. We're not going to use all of them right now, just for simplicity's sake. Down the track, we may be able to, well, we may expand upon this. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to create a blend space essentially for crouch, walking, crouch, idle. There are other ones there from crouch to standing and standing to crouch. And I can show you them by double click on them, and you can see that way there, they standing to crouch. So we could set that up at some point to have that as a transition into a crouch, etc. However, I don't want to overcomplicate it just yet. the one thing we have to do while we're here is we have to fix our crouched walking animation. So when we go in there, see how it snaps and it repeats? That will actually happen in game. So what we need to do is we need to come down here to the root motion, and we need to be able to enable root motion and snap force root lock. So that will prevent it from snapping backwards and forwards. And as you can see, we have a nice smooth movement there, and it's not snapping and repeating. Just save him off. So now what we're going to do is we're going to create a blend space. To create a blend space, we're going to go back a step. You can have another folder in here for blend spaces. It's a root animation directory. I'm just going to create it right here. I'm going to right click. I'm going to go into animation, and you don't want the first blend space. We want to go into legacy, and we want to use blend space 1 dimension. And you're targeting the SK mannequin. So this I'm going to call ABS, so animated blend space _ crouch. Now, what we're going to do is open him up. You can see our mannequin standing there, and you can use Many or Quinn. The Quinn is sort of a parent, a child of Many. So anything you do, most of the Many blueprint affects the Quinn blueprint as well. So I'm going to come up here and open up my axis, horizontal axis settings. I'm going to name this one speed. Okay. And this max axis value, I'm going to set to whatever you need to set this to whatever speed you set when you turned on is crouched. So default is 300. It's going to leave it like that. We can also change our grid divisions, and you'll see when we go grid divisions, it's sort of there if you have more than two sort of animations you want to pop in there. So right now I just want 2, and I want to snap them to the grid. So you can see now I've got 1 space and 2 space. Next, we need to add our animations in. You can see them here on the right-hand side under Asset Browser. So I'm looking for crouching idle. I'm going to click and drag him over to the left side. And then crouch walking, I'm going to click and drag onto the right side. Now, if I control click, as I move along the timeline, you can see how slowly it moves into place, and then it goes straight into a walking animation. So it's pretty cool. And that's animation. Well, applying animations to skeletons and stuff like that. So that's the next part done. So you can save all you wish at this stage, which is just Control Shift S. Next, we need to set up our animation graph in our character blueprint. So we're going to come into content drawer. We're going to go back to third person blueprints, fire up your blueprint character. Now, up the top here. Oh, actually, no, I'm in the wrong location. My bad. Just testing you. I shouldn't have closed that either. Oh well. So that was event. Anyway, I'll come back if I need that. Sorry, distracted. You know how it happens. So we're going to go into content, characters, mannequins, and then animations. And here we have our ABP Many, which is our animation blueprint Many. Okay, it's blueprint, but it's the animation side of it. So in here, we need to set up a bit of a blueprint to say, hey, are you crouching? Are you not crouching? So we need to set up a pin. We're going to grab our movement speed here. Just copy and paste that. That's okay. It doesn't matter. From here, we're going to target is crouching. We're going to promote this guy to a variable. Right-click him, promote to variable. It'll get a new variable. And you'll see over here on the left, under Blueprint, it has it already named, ready to be named. So I'm just go is crouching question mark. It is Boolean, so true or false. We're going to grab that pin we just created and we're going to plot it straight into the set. If you need to, you can double click on that and you can move him so it makes a little bit more sense. So this particular guy, comment that in, and this is set if crouching is true. So that's part and parcel. So compile him. Next, we need to go into our actual anim graph. So it's up here. That's a tab. And this is sort of where what controls your blend spaces, sort of tells the character how to go in and out of a lot of these different locomotion states. So, not to stuff anything else up, we're gonna make it easier to work on later on. What we're gonna do, we're gonna create a new state machine. So right click, search for state machine. There it is there. We're gonna call him by, you can, double click on him to get into that. We're just gonna call this guy crouch. Next, we're gonna create a cached pose. So search for cache. Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm gonna drag off the state machine. Sorry, cache pose, which is this guy here, and we're gonna name him crouch. So same name, that's fine. So what this is going to do is we're going to set up everything in here, and we're going to pass it off to our main state over here. So open up your crouch machine state. We're going to create a new state or add state. We're going to call it crouched locomotion. Connect your entry into it and double click in. So here we're going to use, this is what we're going to use our blend space for. You can see it over here, chilling out in the asset browser. Click and drag ABS crouched in, connect it to your result. And we're going to plug this, we're going to get the variable get ground speed and plug him in there. Don't forget to compile it. So that's basically how you can tell Unreal how to apply that particular animated blend space into the model. So we're going to go back to our anim graph. We're going to go into our main state machine. Now, what we're going to do from our main state machine is we're going to add a new state. I'm going to call it crouched locomotion. And now you need to connect these two together. And to do that, you need to sort of hover over the border, click and drag, and you get this line and you plug it into the crouched, and you want to return it back to locomotion as well. Now you get two additional buttons there. You've got locomotion to crouched locomotion, and then locomotion crouched locomotion to locomotion. So what we're going to do here is we're going to add the variable is crouching in our locomotion to crouched animation. And here it is here. I'm just going to grab it and get. And we're going to plug him straight into can enter transition. So this basically tells it if the variable is crouching is true, then you can enter the transition. Compile, save, back to main states. Now we need to go back to locomotion, which is sort of your walking, your running sort of stuff. And for this one, we're going to do the same thing, but we're going to use a not variable. So grab your is crouching, get, and then come here and go not all, and then plug him in. So that's basically changing this to not true. Save, back to your main state. And that's essentially it to a degree. One last thing, sorry. Crouched locomotion. This is where we're going to get our cached. So cached, pose, crouch. This plugs into the result. Sorry. So this is what we did earlier. This is now cached from our other state machine. And now when we compile, we're saved, we can go back, play our game, we press control and we crouch. Oh, we've got a problem. We aren't walking. All right, so that's interesting. We need to check why that is the case. It is crashing. It goes into crash like emotion. It could be something to do with a blend space. We might as well check everything while we're here. Back to an ending it into a state machine. Crash like emotion. Our ABS crashed is there. Ground speed. So let's just go back to our animation. Check our crouched ABS space. Okay, so it's missing. So crouch walking should be here. Save it. Close it off. Save it all. Try again. There we go. So it was because that animation was missing from our ABS. Now you notice that I can crouch now below the coins. That's because my collision is below the actual coin. However, I can still walk up ramps and stuff like this, and if those coins were low enough, I can pick them up. Two things. There is an option in your crouch section in the blueprint that prevents you from walking off ledges when you're crouched. So that's one thing you can enable, disable, depending upon the game mechanics that you have or want. So can't walk off edges. The other side of the coin is it doesn't toggle. If you want to toggle, you'd have to set up a flip flop in your third person blueprints. And of course, because I closed it, it's no longer there at the moment. Oh my goodness. But yeah, I'll have to come. My blueprint is on. I'm not seeing what I need to see. So yeah, so if you go in there, you add a flip flop to the button that's selected, and plug your A into your crouch, and then your B into uncrouched. You can create a toggle system. All right, guys, that's it for now for the crouching tutorial. I hope that helps. It's a fascinating mechanic. I mean, you can set up it with AI, so when the AI is looking for you, you can be crouched behind a box and they won't be able to see you. Is one way to put it. If you say had another layer coming across here, when you were walking, you wouldn't have been able to walk underneath it. Crouch, you could crouch underneath it. So I could probably put in basic shapes, a cube. So I'm just going to scale this. All right, this is a demonstration, make it look as nice as possible. That'll be fine. Hopefully, just final. No, yep. So you can see that I'm running into it. Just this. Now, when I crouch, I can walk underneath it. But when I'm underneath it, I can't stand back up yet because it's still got a collision model on it. All right, guys, that's enough from me.